answer questions based on the grade 12 short story named Rejection. So I given extract 1, and in here we have characters as Tamsir, Maudoba, and the Imam visiting the narrator. Now it says, where had they come from, looking so awkward in their starched bobos? Doubtless they had come looking for Mudo to carry out an important task that one of them had been charged with. I told them that Mudo had been out since morning. They entered laughing, deliberately sniffing the fragrant odor of incense that was floating on the air. I sat in front of them, laughing with them. The Imam attacked. There is nothing one can do when Allah the Almighty puts two people side by side. True, true, said the other two in support. A pause. He took a breath and continued. There is nothing new in this world. True, true. Tamsir and Milo chimed in again. Some things we may find to be said are much less so than others. I followed the movement of the haughty lips that let fall all those actions which can precede the announcement of either a happy event or an unhappy one. What was he leading up to with these preliminaries that rather announced a storm? So their visit was obviously planned. Does one announce bad news dressed up like that in one's Sunday best, or did they want to inspire confidence with their impeccable dress? I thought of the absent one. I asked with the cry of a hunted beast. Mudo. Okay, so we have question 5.1.1, and it is saying choose a description from column B that matches the name in column A. Now here you are supposed to write only the letters A to D next to the question number. So in column A we are given the characters, and in column B we are given the descriptions. So in 5.1.1 at A, so it's 5.1.1, and we have question A. It is the character Tamsir. So here we are going to look at all the possible options that could be befitted to him. And here we have an Islamic holiday, Mudo's second wife, Mudo's brother, Islamic spiritual leader, and polygamist. Now here it is quite of a tie because Tamsir is both a polygamist and Mudo's brother. But here, if we check in column A, we also have the character of Mudo, and we cannot say that Mudo is the Islamic spiritual leader or he is his second wife. Now here for the question at A, or for the character at A, we are going to give him the description as Mudo's brother, and that is C. Now we come to B. B is the Imam. It is quite obvious that the Imam is the Islamic spiritual leader, and hence here we have D. And then we go to C. C says Benito. Now Benito is the girl who married Mudo as his second wife, and hence here we have the answer as B. And lastly, we have Mudo, of which he is the polygamist. Now let's go to 5.1.2. And now here it says describe the setting of this extract. Now you guys must remember, whenever you're given a question that says describe the setting, you are supposed to give the time and the place that are best befitted to the question. So here we are going to say that the time or the place is at the narrator's house. It is at the narrator's house, and you can say after Mudo had married Benito. Okay, and now here we have 5.1.3. Let me indicate here. It says refer to line 19, and the question 8A says identify the figure of speech in this line. Now line 19 says I thought of the absent one. I asked with the cry of a hunted beast, Mudo. So here if you check, the best figure of speech here would be a metaphor. And then we go to B. Now B says explain why the figure of speech is relevant in this extract. Here you can say that the narrator compares her acceptance of the shocking news with the cry of a hunted beast. That's it. And then here we go to 5.1.4. And 5.1.4 says, why is the following statement false? And it says, the narrator is aware that the three men are visiting her, not her husband. We cannot say it is true because the narrator did not know. She thought they were here for her husband, because it says here that doubtless they had come looking for Mudo to carry out an important task that one of them had been charged with. And she says, I told them that Mudo had been out since morning. So it is quite obvious that she did not know they were there for her. And you can hear say that the narrator thought that they were looking for Mudo either to carry out an important task right. Let's continue. Now we have 5.1.5. It says, refer to line 16. What bad news has the three men come to announce? Let's go to line 16. Line 16 says, what was he leading up to with these preliminaries that rather announced a storm? Now from 16 it says announced a storm, so their visit was obviously planned. Now what does the question say? It says, what bad news have the three men come to announce? Well, they had went there to announce the news of the narrator's husband marrying a second wife. So here it is, the news that the narrator husband, or you can say Mudo, had married a second wife. Great. Now let's move. We have question 5.1.6 here. It says, one of the themes in this story is a rejection. Now discuss this theme. So whenever you're asked to describe a theme, you have to write it in paragraph form. That is the format in which you must give it to the markers. And now another thing is that whenever you are writing a theme, you must relay it to the message of the story. So here we are given the theme of rejection that we are supposed to discuss. So in the theme of rejection, you can state the following points. You can say that Mudo's wife feels rejected by him when he decided, or when he married a second wife who is the same age as their daughter. You can also say that the narrator rejected the idea of being married by Mudo's brother at the end of the story. And you can say, in turn, the rejection gives the narrator power and a voice. And a voice over male patriarchy. So this is patriarchy. Good. So that is the theme of this the theme of rejection. So whenever you are asked to describe a theme, you just have to play with words. You just have to find what is really in context of the theme that they have given you. You have to relate it to the story. Find something that describes the theme. So we are moving on. We are going to 5.1.7. I'm kind of out of space, but let's improvise. So let's write it here. Okay, so we have 5.1.7. This is 5.1.7, and it says, in this story, Mudo can be regarded as being selfish, and you must discuss your view. Okay, guys, so here's the thing. Whenever you have to discuss your point of view in a question, you have to either agree or disagree with whatever statement that has been given to you. So you can either say yes or no, and when you're saying yes, you must first indicate that you agree by writing yes, and if you disagree, you must indicate that by writing no. And whatever your answer is, you must make sure that your supporting statements are in agreement, or they are matching with whatever motion you have stated. So here we are going to start with yes. He can be identified as selfish. Now let us substantiate why we are saying yes, he can. So you can say Mudo shows selfishness when he decides to marry a second wife. Or you can say Benito. You can also say that this is our first point and now we have our second point. Or you can add to this and say without consulting his wife. Okay, now for our second point, you can say that he shows selfishness when he uses his money to lure poor Benito into marrying him. Okay, now let us go to the last point. Now you can also say that when Benito shows resistance to the idea of marriage, he convinces her parents that should they allow the marriage to continue, he will better their lives. This is because Benito's family was kind of poor, so he used his money to lure the family into allowing him to marry the poor girl. Now let us go to the second statement, the second motion, and we are going to say no. So when you're saying no, you have to show the acts that Mudo depicted throughout the story that shows that he is not selfish. Okay, so here when you say no, you can say that Mudo did not force Benito to marry him. And you can say it was her and her family's decision. Okay, you can further say that by marrying a second wife, this is second wife, Mudo is not being selfish. Instead, he is following his custom and traditions. Okay, so you can also say that he used his money to improve the lifestyle of Benito's family. Let's just say of Benito, since she was poor. Okay, so that is how you answer questions of short stories. That is how you maneuver through the questions given to you in an exam. Be sure to keep these points in mind before you get into an exam. That is all for today. Thank you, guys. Please subscribe.